Hey, all right, welcome back to Raff's Brain, a show about things that are interesting to me. I am your host, Rob Raffety. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's time for another episode of Drive and Jive. That's right. This is the stream of content of the Raff's Brain podcast, where I pontificate, elaborate, prognosticate, contemplate, and otherwise speak to you in a stream of consciousness style format in which I don't have any clear agenda or objective other than to amuse myself and potentially you for a set period of time. Here's the thing, I'm on my way. You've caught me while I'm driving on my way to Shepherd University in Shepherdstown, West Virginia. Yes, it's Monday morning. I'm heading out early to meet my sister and my niece for a college tour of Shepherd University. It's a state school in the great state of West Virginia. And it used to be Shepherd College. I've always known it as Shepherd College when I was growing up, but I guess it's a university now. They might have master's degrees program. Is that what distinguishes a college from a university? The presence of graduate degree programs? I think that's the case. In any event, it's one of the schools on my niece Mallory's radar. You've met Mallory on several occasions. She's been a guest on Raff's Brain, Riffin' with Raff. That's the interview content of Raff's Brain podcast. So for my loyal listeners, my tens of fans, the brainiacs, you know what it's all about. My niece is a junior in college, or high school, I'm sorry. A junior in high school. Wow, she's growing up so fast. She's one heck of a lacrosse player. Dude, she was the MVP of her team in Buchanan-Lepshire High School, her freshman and sophomore years. She's doing really well this year, too. The team is very competitive. There's an outside shot. I don't want to jinx it, but there's an outside shot that they could compete for, if not win, the state championship. That would be pretty awesome. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. The bottom line is she's also a pretty good student. I don't think she's top 10 in the school. She might be like top 10%. Definitely a 4 point something. By the way, when did that start happening? It used to be that 4.0 was the max. But it's at some point in, I don't know, the past 30 years, at some point, someone decided, oh, we're going to weight certain classes so they get 5 out of 4. If you get an A in AP history or something, that counts for 5 out of 4 points. There are kids that have like a 4.8. I'm like, how is that possible? It doesn't make sense. It's not appropriate. Let's dial it back. You don't get weighted grade point averages. You just compete with everyone else. It's out of 4.0. Why is that so difficult? When did things get so complicated? You can designate on the transcript that it's an honors class or an AP class. But the idea that we need to like give that extra weight, I guess here's the argument. Let me steelman the case for this weighting process. I think what happened is, and this did happen back in the day when I was growing up, it was all out of 4.0. And there might have been some like kids who were taking easy classes and they might have really high GPA. Meanwhile, the kids that are taking all the hard classes and maybe suffering because they're getting occasionally a B.
In 1 mile, use either lane to stay to the left to exit 1A US 15 South.
It's like
State Route 7 West toward Leesburg.
You are getting punished for taking the hard classes. That's the argument. The argument is, if you're taking the hard classes, but you're actually harming your status in terms of your class rank, that makes you look bad when you're applying for colleges. Like, oh yes, I have a 3.85 GPA, and I'm like 35 out of 250 students, that's like, okay, I guess you're decent. You're pretty good, let's be honest. But there might be people above you who are like getting 3 9s and 4 O's, and they're just taking underwater BB stacking. And it's like, yeah, that's not right. That shouldn't be allowed.
Stay to the left to exit 1A, US 15 South, State Route 7 West, toward Leesburg.
So that's the argument. I still don't think it makes sense, though, because let's be honest. If you're some kid that takes honors, AP, you get this opportunity to have like 4.75 out of 4.0. It gets absurd to me. I think the better course of action is for the colleges to just understand, yeah, this kid has a 3.7 or 3.6 GPA, but if you scrutinize and you look beneath the surface, they were really challenging themselves. Meanwhile, the student who got a 4.0 was just trash. What am I doing here? I'm going 15 south. All right. No, I don't know what the heck's going on.
In 3.9 miles, exit to State Route 9 toward Hillsborough, Charlestown, West.
I'm not familiar with this route. I don't get out this neck of the woods too often. Even though I'm from West Virginia and I go home very regularly, this isn't my neighborhood, man. This is not this part of the state that I'm super familiar with. So I don't want to get lost. I got my directions coming through on Waze. I think Waze is the superior navigating platform. Some people prefer Google Maps. I prefer Waze. Waze actually shows you where the cops are and stuff. That's awesome. How many times has that saved you, dude? Yes, it's happened to me many times when I'm burning down the highway and Waze says police ahead, and bam, I'm able to slow down and maybe not get a ticket. The value is extraordinary. Now, I guess what it's doing is tracking all of our movements. There's no, it's like what they say, if something is free, the product is you. So in a sense, like what Waze is getting in exchange for me downloading the free app and using it is that they are getting a real clear sense of my patterns of behavior. And if you aggregate that over the course of, millions of Americans that use Waze, you can get some really interesting insights about traffic flow, about propensities to shortcuts and alternative routes and all that sort of stuff. By the way, when they plug all that information back in, it enhances the performance of the app. It gives you better information. So it's like a flywheel. Is that a thing? I use these terms like I know what they mean. There's this term in business, which I can't do business speak. I mean, I can, but I feel like I'm faking it. I can do a couple of the basics, like ROI, return on investment. But and then there's this word leverage. Everyone uses the word leverage. We got to leverage this. We got to leverage that. Like, I don't think they're using that word correctly, dude. But I don't say it. I just roll with it. I think I know what people mean. Like, we need to use this better. We're going to leverage this data for the optimization of the ROI or something. I don't know what's going on, man. I'm not a big business speak, dude. I don't understand how that world works, like venture capital and Series A, B, C, seed funding. It's very fascinating, and I know it's huge today. Equity. I like Shark Tank.
Use the right lane to exit right to State Route 9 toward Hillsborough, Charlestown, West Virginia.
I definitely like Shark Tank, and that taught me a lot about business. But I also think that's probably a little more, entertainment than real. Anyway, I'm headed out to Shepherd University. I'm gonna enjoy this tour because I honestly haven't. I don't think I've ever been to Shepherd. I mean, I've driven through it. It's a small school, probably like 3,000 students. I actually need to learn more. I don't know. I'm gonna learn a lot today. That's the message. When you don't know something, you got to jump in and try to learn. So I want to be there for my niece, hear some of the information. and give her a pat in the back, catch up with her and my sister briefly.
Exit right to State Route 9 toward Hillsborough, Charlestown, West Virginia.
Then I got to run back to
Use the right lane to
office
stay
and
right to State Route 9.
lead an all-staff virtual conference call. That'll be a good time. It's like a fully virtual Ask Me Anything
Use the
session.
right lane to stay to the right to State Route 9.
I know where we are now. This is wild. This is how I get to one of my favorite wineries. Dude, the wine scene in Northern Virginia, and even a little bit west of North, is it called the Western
Continue straight for 11 minutes
Virginia?
to Charlestown Pike.
It's pretty good out here, dude. It's a pretty impressive scene, I think. Now, you might say, Rob, you have very low, your palate's off. You don't have very good level of sophistication. I was like, well, yeah, you're right. But I've been going to wineries out here with my wife for 20 years, and I tell you what, it's improved. I'm smart enough to know when things are making progress. And I'll tell you, without a doubt, the Virginia wine scene has grown by leaps and strides. First of all, the volume of wineries. You can't throw a, what's that saying? You can't throw a rock without hitting a couple wineries or something. Is that a thing that someone came up with? Gosh, you can't throw a rock without hitting the XY. Insert X, which is the thing you are claiming to be abundant. You can't throw a rock in this neighborhood without hitting Prius. I don't know, what a strange saying. I'd like to do a deep dive on the origin story of that. I'm very fascinated by cliches, especially popular cliches, especially popular cliches that are used and don't really make any sense anymore, You can't throw a rock without hitting a, Abaguchi. I don't know, man. It's just crazy. But I guess you can't throw a rock in this area without hitting a couple wineries. Wineries, man, that's a tough business. I've heard a funny saying. I want to get this right, but I've heard this funny statement about wineries. Because if you go to enough wineries and you hang out in that scene, you can start convincing yourself. You can start deceiving yourself. You can start lying to yourself. Wow, I could own a winery someday. Man, that would be awesome. I would love to own a winery. I've gone there. I've thought, mentally, I've definitely arrived in that. I think it would be an amazing life to own a vineyard and a winery, to toil in the fields, to squash the grapes, to blend the vintage juices. I'm telling you, it's a hard work, man. And I think it's super competitive. It's probably oversaturated. And there's a funny statement I want to make here, but I got to remember, I got to get it right. It only works if I get it right. It's something like this. It's something like, the fastest way to make $1 million, or the fastest way to make to become a millionaire, or something like that. I got to get the statement right. It's there's a real fast way to become a millionaire. You ready? Start with $10 million and open a winery. Dun, yeah, you get it? It's a bad business decision. You're only going to lose money. It's a vanity project. I don't think that's true, but I think it is true for many, or at least some. Otherwise, that sort of statement wouldn't exist, right? So there are probably a lot of people who run marginally profitable or even unprofitable businesses, but they do it for love, and maybe they already have achieved a level of wealth where the profit motive isn't their primary objective. I respect it. I hope to get there someday. That would be amazing. But I feel like I could innovate in the wine game. I could bring a popcorn machine to the winery. Wineries don't really do enough popcorn. Although I'll tell you, This one time, and it relates to what I think is far and away my number one least favorite food. Although I have to be very candid, the status is being rivaled, and my tastes are constantly evolving. So, this one time I was at a tasting room, gonna sip and taste a couple different types of vintage wine or whatever it's called. Is that what it's called? Vintage? Vintage is a year, is that right? Anyway, this one time I was at a tasting room trying to hit up different flavors and grapes and all that sort of stuff. And the bartender, or is it called a wine tender? Because they're just serving wine. It's not really anyway, the winery person brought out this cute little small plate. I'm not talking about a small plate like your traditional side dish. I'm talking about, it might be the size of like, what is the size of? Not a 50-cent piece. That's pretty small. Something bigger. It's like a disc. A Frisbee's too big. What is it that's that size? What is it that's circular? A pancake. No, because pancakes are not uniform in size. You can easily have giant pancakes, silver dollar pancakes. So that's not going to work. The story's not going well because I can't really show you with my hands for those on YouTube. I'm driving. It's a crazy traffic, dude. What's going on? People living out here, are they commuting? Could you imagine if you lived here and you had to commute all the way into Washington, D.C. from West Virginia? That's a hike, bro. This is some traffic. I've not seen this much traffic on a 2-lane road in many years. This road is, when I come out here on the weekends to go wine tasting, it's not this busy. I mean, it is jammed. There is a backup for miles. What is going on? Route 9. Say it ain't so. I used to think I'd want to live out here, but dang, man, I don't think this would work. I don't do traffic. I live close to where I work, so I don't have to commute very long. That's just a real preference. Now, people would say, well, that's because how do you afford it? We were fortunate. We got in a little bit early during a downtime in the market. But you could pay a premium. You could rent and pay a premium so you don't have to drive such a long distance. And I just think that's a better lifestyle. It's a premium I believe is worth the cost. This is beautiful out here. I'm just going to tell you right now, this is extraordinary scenery. The winery that I go to, that my wife and I are members of, 8 Chains North, we just passed it a couple miles ago.
At the roundabout, take the second exit on Charlestown Pike.
But I've never really gone beyond it to explore. What a beautiful, beautiful area, man. So picturesque. These little rolling hills. You got grape fields, vines everywhere, mountains in the background. The only problem is all these cars coming at me. Traffic. It's unstoppable. All right, I'm going to be driving up here. Oh man, there's a roundabout up ahead. Look out. Roundabout. I don't feel good about roundabouts as a general traffic pattern. I prefer lights. I don't like the idea that we are, oh, this is a better way to keep the traffic flowing. Yeah, but I get confused, man. I get confused. Even in America, I get confused. We were over in Ireland last year, driving on the left-hand side of the road, doing a roundabout. I almost had a freaking heart attack. Whoa, what was that? What was that? Oh, you're giving me a warning. It's a roundabout. Okay, so what am I doing here? I'm just going straight, basically.
At the roundabout, take the second exit on Charlestown Pike.
Okay, I'm listening. Where are we? Hillsboro. Hillsboro. What a nice little town. Okay, we're in the roundabout. Don't choke. Hey kids, Big Ben, Parliament. Did I do this all right? Wow, yeah. We're moving through downtown Hillsboro. This is a nice little town. Look at this town. Wow, I love these stone houses and stuff. It's like the history here. There's got to be some Civil War history here, man. Maybe some Revolutionary War history. Speaking of which, we are just on the...
In a quarter of a mile. At the roundabout, take the first
there's
exit
more
on
roundabouts.
Charlestown Pike.
Man, this is not cool. We're just on the precipice of a slew of anniversaries. The 250th anniversary of the United States Declaration of Independence coming up in 2026, July 4th. But if you think about it, all the events leading up to that.
In 1,000 feet. At the roundabout, take the first exit.
We're celebrating that actively right now. So, for instance, I believe this past weekend was the 250th anniversary of Lexington Concord. When was the Boston Massacre? Didn't that already occur? Oh no, I'm showing you my deficiency of Revolutionary War knowledge. Was the Boston Massacre before or after?
At the roundabout,
It's got to be before. I missed it.
Pike.
How did I miss that? How do you miss... How do you miss the 250th anniversary of the Boston Massacre, Raffety? That's embarrassing, dude. You should have been all up in that. You should have celebrated that. You should have had a special episode of Raff's Brain Podcast to recount that glorious tragedy that propelled this country into existence. Bloodshed. I love the John Brown's a character. That's Harper's Ferry. I love the John Adams series on HBO. It starts out with the Boston Massacre. What a great way to open a limited series. We're going to have this, they always say if you're a writer, if you're a storyteller, start in action. Begin in action. Action Jackson.
Continue straight for 10 minutes to US 340 North, West Virginia 9 West.
I need to look up, actually, to understand who wrote John Adams. I know McCullough wrote the book. Tom Hanks loved it, and I think he was involved in all that effort to get it produced. And, of course, it was an extraordinary miniseries. I wish they would do more of that stuff. Why aren't there more of those epic American tales? Why is there not a miniseries dedicated to Lafayette? Marie Joseph Paul Yee's Rochilbert du Mortier, the Marquis de Lafayette. Why wouldn't you take that guy's life and make it into an epic, serious investment? Anyway, start in action. That's where the John Adams series began. And that was a good one. I don't know if you guys liked it or saw it. I need to revisit it. I might need to go watch it again. It's been a long time. That's an old series. It's probably like 2008, 2007. We got to update that, man. We got to bring it into the modern era. We got to bring the Terminator in there. He came back. He hooked us up. He was a big savior to the American cause. Man, I can't tell you the beauty that is surrounding me right now. The only thing that detracts from it is the immense amount of vehicles that are barreling down against me. I've never seen this amount of traffic on a 2-lane road. But otherwise, everything around here is super awesome. You have this idea of an idyllic life, and that would be to live out here without all this traffic. But then, the traffic is what makes this possible. You got to have a population density to sustain. I mean, we must have passed 15 wineries in the past 5 miles. That only exists because there's like a huge number of alcoholics in the region. Actually, alcohol consumption is going down, right? Alcohol consumption is going down dramatically, I think, especially as generations get more aware of the harms of alcohol. So that's a factor that you gotta, I don't know, man, if this is the best time to be investing in breweries and wineries. I think Americans, or human beings in general, will broadly always consume some amount of alcohol. It's such a long and storied part of culture. But the health effects are starting to get drawn into spotlight. It almost feels like a little bit like cigarettes. It's not quite there yet. But smoking in my lifetime, it's unbelievable to see the transformation in public consumption of tobacco, but also like the sort of social stigma around it that emerged. When I was in high school, we had a smoke hole. If you were 18 years old, you could go out and smoke with the teachers at the smoke hole. I think they canceled that maybe like my freshman year. I'm sure it was there for 1 year. I wanted to go. That's how someday I'm going to grow up and I'll get to go to the smoke hole. And alas, it was never to be. But now you can't even have a cigarette within 2 miles of a public education system. I think they throw you in jail for that. So it's kind of wild. I went off the rails a little bit. That's as prone to happen because of my stream of consciousness style and approach to this content. But one thing I want to dial back and no segue, talk about a really cool podcast I encountered over the weekend. It was very inspirational. I wanted to share it with you. And I'll definitely drop it in the show notes. Many of you may know this guy. He's a very popular podcaster, Lex Friedman. He's an MIT professor, scholar, thoughtful dude all around. I think an interesting guy. And his jam is long form interviews with interesting people. That's kind of how I would describe it. And his guests run the gamut from professors and scientists to politicians to the individual who was on the show recently. The most recent episode featured Robert Rodriguez, director, filmmaker extraordinaire. I'll be honest with you, I was intrigued to listen to this episode, not because I'm a huge Robert Rodriguez fan. I know who he is as someone who's in the film world broadly. You can't exist in that world without having some awareness of him, but I'm not like a fanboy. I haven't gone deep in his library, but I wanted to just hear what this interview was all about, and I got about a third of the way through it on a walk over the weekend. Man, it was amazing. Robert Rodriguez is an inspiring dude. His life story is extraordinary when he describes his approach to art and the craft of production and shipping. It's so it got me really juiced up, man, really amped up. And it definitely is consistent with my ethos. Create, produce, take action. Don't just think about things. But he went deeper, and like there were a couple key takeaways. One, which I thought was cool, is like if you're a creative person broadly, if you define yourself in that category, and a lot of people don't define themselves, it's like you're afraid to be labeled. Would you say, are you a creative person? I don't know. I dislike when people say, as a noun, I am a creative. That is a little annoying. Yes, we're entering West Virginia. Woo-hoo! Wow, that's a nice scenery right there. It's like we just crossed a ridge. Hey, look out, pal. This is, you gotta watch. You gotta stay on your toes. Now we're in Jefferson County. And it's like you go over this little ridge and then you see the entire state of West Virginia right before you. That's pretty cool. Anyway, this podcast, Lex Friedman, Robert Rodriguez. I highly recommend it. I'm going to drop a link in the show notes. I'm only about a third of the way through because I think it goes on for like 3 hours. And I listened to it on a walk the other day. And I just was inspired by Robert Rodriguez, his kind of philosophy on creativity. That is, if you have creative instincts, you really need to take action. There's this kind of muse or spirit out there waiting for you to serve as the vehicle, the conduit for that creative energy and force to manifest into some physical form. A film, a script, a play, a poem, a song, a book, a story, but it takes action. And so he's all about physical action, writing, and you got to get started. That's the hardest part. And I confess, I'm often tripped up by hesitation. I don't want to get started until I know where I'm going. It's like you got to have a roadmap and you got to know the location and destination. That's true to a degree. So I think there's a happy medium here. I don't write just for the sake of writing. I think about my own creative process, which is always discombobulated and really not as on point as it should be. And I'm plenty familiar with my failures as a creative person. Primarily, I don't finish. I don't get things through to completion. I chase shiny objects like left, right, center. Can't stop. I gotta help. I gotta get better at that, man. But at least I understand my weaknesses and I try to curb for and address them. But yeah, I love that episode. I highly recommend it. And the story about the making of some of his earliest films inspired me to watch some of those over the weekend. So I watched his short film Bedhead. Really clever, fun, black and white. And then, of course, his classic first feature film, which was winner of Sundance back in, early 90s. El Mariachi. And this guy's got such a distinct style and eye.
In 1 mile, use the right lane to exit right 2 US 340 North, West Virginia 9 West, toward Harper's Ferry.
It's like, yeah, man, what one big takeaway when you watch that film and you go, I could make a movie like that. The answer is no, you can't, Raffety. You're not a creative genius. I had the same impression when I watched the Duplass Brothers feature film, Puffy Chair. I left the theater thinking to myself, I could make a movie like that. The problem is, yes, technically I have the ability and I can work with other professionals and friends and creative minds to put together a project, but I can't tell a great story yet. I gotta get a really tight story. That's really essential. It doesn't matter how clever your production style is and your editing and lighting and et cetera, et cetera. What you really got to focus on is a great story. And sometimes I'm missing that. Actually, often I'm lacking that. Or I have a good concept, a general approach or idea or framework, but I don't land the actual narrative in a way that is satisfying for a listener or a viewer. That's true with my podcast. I don't really have a point to these podcasts. It's just me rambling and pontificating. Now, I enjoy it,
exit to Flowing Springs Road.
But it's not intentional. I think what I'm doing, though, through the process of creating these podcast episodes, is it's, I don't know, there's probably something in there that I've said over the past 9 months since I really started version 4.0 of Raff's Brain that might actually evolve into something fun and cool as the basis of a story.
Right, then turn left.
1 mile, exit right. I gotcha. I feel like I forgot to say something earlier. I was on a rant and I got distracted, as tends to happen.
Police reported ahead.
Ooh, police are ahead. Make sure you're going the right speed. might have to take my headphones out for a second. I don't want to get pulled over for... What do you get pulled over for? Distracted driving or something? I can hear just fine. I think what people would think is I'm listening to music or something. That's not the case. I'm not listening to music, sir. I'm recording a podcast. I wonder if a cop would cut me some slack. I don't want to find out. Flowing Springs Road.
Exit right to Flowing Springs Road.
That's where I'm
turn
going.
left on Flowing Springs Road.
Oh, this is where it gets interesting. I don't get out here enough, dude. I gotta say, going against the traffic, no problems, man. No problems.
Turn left on Flowing Springs Road.
Wow, what a beautiful little... community. Okay, Shepherdstown, 10 miles. It's 8:10. I'll get there before 8:30. I'll be well ahead of the curve. I love it. Now we're in a very picturesque setting. There's a lot of development out here. Wow, look at all these new houses and stuff coming up. Ooh, look out. Railroad. Oh. Railroad crossing. Oh, man. Oh, I did yoga this morning. You catch that episode of Hot Yoga Problems coming up. I think I'll probably put that on first. Then I'll play this. See, if you're a regular listener, if you're one of my 5 to 10 loyal listeners of the Raff's Brain podcast, I want you to know something. I'm really going all out. It's been a couple weeks of less productivity, lower output. That happens given some of the circumstances I've been dealing with, the ebbs and flows of opportunity to create. But I hit it hard today. I'm getting back in the swing of things. I went to a 5:30 yoga sculpt class, which is kind of like a boot camp style hybrid between a vinyasa yoga flow with weights, burpees, other crazy shenanigans, and it was horrific. I did that. So if you haven't listened to that episode, hit it up. It was death. I only mention it here because I want you to realize that my state of physical discomfort is high. It makes you more alert when you work out early in the morning. That's why I like to get it on like in the morning, dude. Get real good going, get your heart rate going, get your blood flowing. It's good stuff. It's a great way to start the day, and I definitely have more energy and vibrance if I get a good exercise yoga jam in, say, between 5:30 and 7 o'clock any particular morning. However, a class like Yoga Sculpt really destroys your body. Like, I'm in pain. I'm in agony. You don't see it, but it's there. It's not an agony. It's not like a piercing, sharp, stabbing pain. It's a dull, persistent ache. My body is not used to being treated like that. But wouldn't it be interesting if I did more of those Yoga Sculpt style classes on the off days and my typical Core Power Yoga 2 Vinyasa flows on the on days, if it was like Yoga Sculpt Core 2, Yoga Sculpt Core 2. I don't really want to do more than 1 or 2 yoga sculpts a week, though. I mean, that stuff is painful. It's unpleasant. It's probably bad for you in a sense. All of the jarring, has anyone done a real study on the negative effects of physical exercise in terms of joints? In terms of just hurting your body, dude. Knees, shoulders. Okay, now we're on a 2-lane road, and I got this dude behind me who's really creeping up. We got a tailgater, bro. I don't react well in those circumstances. It freaks me out. I start to get anxious. I start to get tense. I hate tailgaters in cars. I really hate tailgaters at the supermarket. When I'm in line at the supermarket, not the self-checkout line, although that's a whole other situation, but the regular checkout line of the supermarket, I get up there, I'm very organized. I definitely put my items out with a particular intentionality. I cluster them together so that I make it easy for the checkout clerk to do their thing. And if you can get a real good jam. You can lock eyes with the checkout clerk, and they like you when you organize your stuff. There are some people that just throw their stuff on the conveyor belt willy-nilly, no intentionality, no organization. That's a disaster, dude. I am respectful to the clerks. I put my stuff in little piles of similar product styles and types. Beyond the product itself, it's more about the packaging. Like if you have boxes, you put those in a space. If you have cans, you put those in a space. If you have bags of things, little like fruit and grapes, kind of put those together. Those are more delicate. Help a brother out. Help the clerk out. You're part of this process. It's not just a one-way transaction. Let's be a team, dude. I go to the supermarket with a teamwork mentality. We work together, we are going to help each other, and guess what? It also helps the rest of this community, because if we can knock this out in a speedy fashion, we're going to get through more customers. They're going to be happier, the business will be happier, it'll become vibrant, it'll become well-performing, it'll attract greater talent, they'll have more resources to pay the staff. All this is amazing, dude. So I lean into that. My role as a consumer at a supermarket isn't just to go grab my stuff and run. It's to actually contribute to the vibrancy and effectiveness of the whole operation for the good of the whole, baby. I'm all in. I'm all in. Is this guy going to pass me? Yeah, go ahead. I hope you get to work faster. Good for you. I respect it. I used to be in that mindset, always racing around. And I still am to a degree. Don't get me wrong. I got a little bit of a lead foot. But I don't pass so much on 2-lane roads anymore. There's just a little uncertainty about what's over the horizon. Even when you have a dotted line in West Virginia, you got to be aware, my friends, because you never know what's coming over the horizon. Coal truck, forget it. You don't want that. Coal truck v. Subaru Impreza is not going to end well. Oh man, there's some lots for sale out here. Wow, it's beautiful land, rolling hills. Could open up a winery or a brewery, have a dog park, have some local bands come out and do a little like Woodstock action, have like a all multi-day party festival, have a campground. I see it, man. I have a vision. Or maybe it's a fever dream. I don't know, but I just like it. I dig it. Even though this is not my hood, this is not my part of West Virginia, I have an affinity towards it. And in fact, I did spend a good bit of time out here, probably about 6 months in the year 2000, from the months, say, May or June through October. No, through November. I was working on a congressional campaign. I was running the Eastern Panhandle grassroots operation. Those were the days, man. I had a blast. So I did have a little bit of time out here. It's just been a long time. It's been a while since I've spent anything other than like just passing through. So it's going to be cool to see what Shepherd's like these days. Oh man. I hit up the 7-Eleven for an extra large coffee this morning. It's hitting solid right now. But when I first got it, it was so hot. It was hotter than the sun, dude. It took a good 30 minutes to cool down. And I made a fatal mistake. Because all I do is drink black coffee. I don't want to gussy it up. I don't need all that sugar in my coffee. Give me that infusion of dirt. I want some dirty water that tastes like mud. Man, oh man, this is fucking dangerous territory up here. The roads are a little confusing. And I got another tailgater on me. God, these people don't quit. These people just don't quit. Maybe I'll let him pass. Nah, we're almost there. About a mile to the town, I think. The thing about this coffee is that it took 30 minutes to cool down so I could actually drink it. And the problem, the fatal flaw that I made is you have options. It asks you if you want to save room for cream or other things. I said no, which is true. The truth is I don't need room for cream. I don't add cream to my coffee. But typically I select that I want to leave room because it leaves a little more space. Otherwise it fills right up to the brim. Then you got this scalding hot coffee up to the brim. The lid is obviously never, like 30% of the time it breaks and it spills all over you. You don't want that. So I made a mistake and I have a very full cup of coffee. It's very hot. I'd give it a good bit of time to cool down. Now I'm chugging it like there's no tomorrow. Oh man, a car just pulled out in front of me. Why do you got to do that, buddy? You should have waited. It's okay. I respect it. The other thing I did this morning is I purchased for the first time a Gator Light. Gator Light with the L-Y-T-E, because, L-I-T-E or L-I-G-H-T, it's just too long. It's too cool. We got to be cool, man. Gator Light. Gator Light. What happened to zero, dude? I like it. It's good. You can tell it's not really sugary. But I need some electrolytes, bro. I did a boot camp thing this morning, Yogi Sculpt. I had my 3-pound weights, my 5-pound weights. I was really crushing it.
In 1,000 feet, turn right on South Princess Street.
Okay, we're approaching the town of Shepherdstown. We're approaching Shepherdstown, the quaint Mayberry-like little village founded in 1734. Wow. I had no idea. So it was Virginia initially until 1863 when Abraham Lincoln created this state with a stroke of his pen. I don't know exactly how he did that. I don't know. We got to look in the history. I did have a West Virginia history growing up when I was a kid. 8th grade. Everybody in the state was getting that West Virginia indoctrination. It was very intense. We had to all prepare for the Golden Horseshoe test. And the top 3 students from every middle school across the state got to go to Charleston, West Virginia, visit the governor, tour the governor's mansion. They got a little gold horseshoe, bro. Now, did I get to be a Golden Horseshoe winner? No. Did I get to be a Golden Horseshoe finalist? No. Did I take that assignment as serious as I should have? No.
In half a mile, turn right on University Drive.
I regret deeply. I have very few regrets in life. One of them is I didn't apply myself enough in 8th grade to become a true competitive force for the Golden Horseshoe. I really should have done it, man. I think I had potential. I was a decently smart kid. but I didn't apply myself enough. And they give all the questions out. This is not, rocket science. You just have to commit to memorizing the information. And I just didn't put in the reps, man. I didn't try hard enough. And sadly, I did not win the Golden Horseshoe, and I regret that to this very day. And I'll never live it again. And to any kid out there in 8th grade that's listening to the Raff's Brain podcast, this is your call to action. You get one shot, one chance to make it. Don't blow it. Because if you're never in the Golden Horseshoe Club, you can't get in, dude. And then some people who have that, that's an honor they can have for the rest of their life. I miss that. I also miss not being an Eagle Scout. That's another accomplishment that was within my grasp. But then I didn't do it, man. I didn't follow through. It's a real character flaw.
Turn right on University Drive.
No Golden Horseshoe. No Eagle Scout. I'm basically worthless. Very disappointed in myself. All right, we're entering Shepherd University. This is exciting.
In 600 feet. Turn right.
I can't tell you for sure. I don't think I've ever been up on this part of campus before. So far so good. We did go through Shepherdstown, which is a nice little area. Now we're approaching what appears to be some brick buildings. It's a nice aesthetic. It's small. It seems manageable. We're pulling into a parking lot here.
Turn right.
Shipley Wellness Center.
You've arrived. Destination is on your right.
You've arrived. I love that. I've definitely arrived in life. I'm here at Shepherd University. And I have arrived. I'm here to tour the campus, to take a good look at this, kick the tires, see if it'd be a great place for my niece. I'd love to see her play lacrosse in college, and I think she might have a shot. And seems like might be a fun place to go. I'm trying to navigate the parking lot like an idiot. Lot G, baby, that's where we are. That's where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm a little ahead of schedule. That's okay. I like to be ahead of time. I'd rather be ahead of time than behind time. You know what I'm saying? That's a lesson in life right there as we wrap up today's episode of Raff's Brain. Closing in on 55 minutes. It's always better to be ahead of schedule than behind schedule. It just takes a little bit of planning and preparation and incentive to get up and crush the day. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. And we'll see you next time on the Raff's Brain podcast, Drive and Jive. Have a good one. Bye-bye.